So my day is completely ruined. I woke up this morning and I fired up Twitter, and I saw on the trending news something that said Mr. President. And so I clicked it, hoping it would be something funny related to Donald J. Trump, but it wasn't. It wasn't. Maybe some of you were tricked by that too, but as it turns out, today is Joe Biden's birthday, alleged president-elect. And so I share a birthday with Joe Biden. Nah, just kidding. I don't care about that. But yes, today is my birthday, and well, I mean, at least to me, it's more important than Joe Biden's birthday. So all is well today. I'm planning on playing some Mario Kart with my kids, which it's so funny. My 3-year-old playing Mario Kart. He's so adorable. And like, he's at the point where like certain things will scare him in the game. So like the other day he was playing and there was like a big like eel in one of the levels, and he dropped the controller and ran screaming, and I was just like, what in the world's going on? But anyway, he's over it now. He found his courage, and he's able to drive on top of the big, gigantic eel and not be scared. He's very proud of himself. He's not scared at all, he says. So that's good. But a couple things, a couple pieces of housekeeping before we begin today. First off, my brother, my biological brother, some of you know him on Twitter as MD Robles, he actually has the Rona. Yes, he's been sick for a few days. He got a test, and it turns out he has the Rona. There's a little mini outbreak in his church, and so prayers for him and prayers for his church that it doesn't get too much worse and all of that kind of thing. He's feeling okay. He's just got the malaise and all of that kind of stuff. He's feeling sick, you know what I mean? But that's about it. Prayers for him in the meantime. He was supposed to preach this weekend. Obviously, that's not going to happen, and he's a little bummed out because he can't go to Thanksgiving as well and all of that kind of thing. But he's in good spirits, so prayers for my brother and all of that. The other thing I wanted to say is that, the Al Mohler video from yesterday, if you didn't see it, I highly recommend you watch it. And then I also did a live stream yesterday as well, responding to some comments that I think, there were critical comments of me. I'm grateful for them, but I think they missed the mark. I don't think that they're actually interpreting Al Mohler correctly. I think that the comments that were critical are actually interpreting Al Mohler the way they hope Al Mohler was speaking, but I'm fairly certain that that's not exactly what Al Mohler was saying regarding social media and regarding his little cronies, his little room, his little power structures and stuff like that. I think my interpretation is way more accurate, and I have to say that I've heard from a lot of you. I've heard from a lot of Southern Baptists that say that not only was my interpretation correct of Al Mohler's, tirade against social media and against the little people of the Southern Baptist Convention, not only was I correct, but it's actually worse than I thought. One of the things people brought up a couple of times is the idea that he's pretending like the Southern Baptist Convention always reaches the right solutions when they're in the room together, so to speak. But then privately, he's doing his own private meetings and secret, maneuverings and stuff like that. Like the biggest example that I can think of that people keep reminding me of is Resolution 9. So he's like privately against Resolution 9, then they pass Resolution 9, and then he speaks out against Resolution 9 publicly. But that's okay because it's the great Al Mohler, the great Emperor Al Mohler. He's allowed to do that kind of stuff. But if Founders Ministry does that well, all of a sudden, the tone and the tenor of this, I'm very troubled by it. Like, you see, that's how it is for the mafioso. It's okay for them to do something, but it's not okay for the regular people to do something. Al Mohler, we don't play by your stupid rules anymore, Al. That's just it. We see what you're doing. It's what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. Well, Al, we don't play by those rules anymore. We're going to stay on social media, and we're going to stay doing what we're doing because we see the fear in your eyes, Al. Anyway, let's jump right to it today. So I've got some more stuff coming, but I wanted to talk about this article from thebaptistnews.com. It's an article called White Evangelical Church Stands in the Way of Racial Justice. And that sounds pretty scary, and as a non-white, I was very interested right away because I'm like, well, if all these white folks are out here standing in the way of my justice, I would like to know about it. So I wanted to see what the supporting evidence for something like that was. And so this guy, Robert P. Jones, looks like a dandy. He definitely looks like a dandy. And he's writing about how the white evangelical church is the most powerful force for hindering racial justice. And it's so funny. His evidence for this is absolutely hilarious. Obviously, the first and foremost, they bolded it here. The editors bolded it so that you would make sure to jump right here. Can you believe this? Think about how evil white evangelicals are. 76% of white evangelicals supported Donald Trump in the 2020 election. I mean, why would you need to write any more? I mean, that proves it, right? They're in the way of racial justice because Donald Trump, his policies are all about racial injustice. I mean, he's trying to put black people back in shackles, as far as I know. I mean, why waste any more words? I mean, all you'd have, this article should only be this sentence. 76% of white evangelicals supported Donald Trump. Let's look at some of his other evidence, though, because it actually gets even better. He makes an even stronger case for this kind of thing. Here's the bullet points here. I love the bullet points because it draws your eye, your attention right away. Here's what he says. He says, 59% of white evangelicals believe that immigrants are, quote, invading our country and replacing our cultural and ethnic background, a view shared by only 30% of all other religious Americans and 31% of the country. I mean, that's open and shut case right there. White evangelicals are evil. 7 in 10 white evangelicals continue to see the killing of unarmed black people by police as isolated incidents rather than part of a pattern for how police treat African Americans. In contrast, among all other religious Americans, the country as a whole, only 43% agree with this assessment. I mean, that sounds pretty damning. Here's the third one. Over the last 5 years, polling has found a 10-point drop in the percentage of Americans who deny racial bias in policing, but white evangelical Protestants have remained unmoved. Lastly, he says only 1/4 of white evangelicals believes Trump's decisions and behaviors have encouraged white supremacist groups around the country, compared to 6 in 10 who are not white evangelicals who believe this about Trump. I mean, clear-cut case, right, guys? Like, white evangelicals, why are you so satanic? Like, you guys are just evil at every point. Now, a smart person, a stupid person might be convinced by something like this. A smart person will realize that all that this guy did was compare what white evangelicals believe to what non-white evangelical believes. So none of this has to do with reality. Like he says, well, more white evangelicals believe that police shootings of African Americans are isolated incidents as opposed to a pattern than non-whites believe that. Okay, that's a nice, interesting tidbit. But what matters is what's true. Are they isolated incidents, or is this a pandemic? Because that's what I see from a lot of woke church people. They say, "Whoa, it's an epidemic of cops shooting black people." Okay, so you believe something and I believe something. Let's figure out what's right. It doesn't matter like what color my skin is. Like my skin is lighter than your skin, and you believe something different. So why are you the standard? Just because of the color of your skin? Or why don't we compare this to the truth? Because if white Americans believe something that's true, and the majority of black Americans believe something that's false, then they're the ones that need to change. You see what I'm saying? So like every one of these evidences is just comparing what whites believe versus what others believe, not comparing it to reality. That's the problem. You need to compare what you believe to reality. Like why is this guy making non-whites the standard of truth? Because he wants to make it seem like the white evangelical church stands in the way of racial justice. Racial justice as defined by people, not as defined by reality. See, this is the problem. Like, we can't just find the black answer to things and say, well, that's racial justice, and so you need to acquiesce to that. No. See, Christians have a standard of justice. It's in the scripture. God gives it to us. And so we should compare what we do compared to what God says we should do. And that's how you know who's standing in the way of justice, not by comparing what whites believe versus what blacks or Latinos believe. This is all very interesting to know, but to me, all of these things prove that Latinos and blacks probably need to change what they believe to better match reality. That's what it tells a guy like me, but, who knows? I'm just a yokel on YouTube. But anyway, this is the kind of thing, man, like, like, this article is great because it's a very good avatar for, like, basically what the woke church is all about. They essentially want you to acquiesce to them as opposed to acquiescing to reality. A Christian can't do that. A Christian needs to be devoted to what's actually true, not to what the blacks say is true. Now, sometimes what the blacks say is true is actually true, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't play partial games with the truth. You see, I have to look into the situations. I got to get 2 or more witnesses. I got to look at the scriptures. And regardless of who's telling me what a situation is, it has to acquiesce to reality in order for me to believe it. It's very nice when blacks and Latinos believe the right thing. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for when anyone believes the right thing. But I'm not going to compare my beliefs to the black beliefs and say, well, I got to start acquiescing to the black beliefs. That's actually a sign that you worship black people. If this is your standard of truth here, what this dude is saying, then that's a sign that you worship black people. Don't worship black people. It's a very bad God. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. God bless. Yeah, really sad story, actually. I wanted to say this before I finished. Today's my birthday. Yesterday was my anniversary, and so my wife and I wanted to get, a nice dinner, so we ordered out from one of our favorite restaurants in town. And I live in a town that's it's got a nice bustling little downtown area. It's really cool because it's a college town, and there's like a strip. It's like an old school New England downtown. And there's this great restaurant that we love to order from, and we've loved it even before we lived here. Anyway, so we order out. They were happy to take our order. I go to pick it up yesterday, and the restaurant is dark, and there's only and the door's locked, and there's only the bar area is lit. And there's a woman who's dressed in almost like she's a chef or something, and she's drinking at the bar. She's got a scotch or something. She looks depressed. And they open the door for me, and they say, "Oh, are you Adam?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Okay, we got your food for you right in the back. We'll go get it." And so I nod to the woman at the bar, and I say, "Hey, how's it going?" She goes, "It's going." And I go, "Man, sorry to hear that." And she goes, "Yeah, I had one table today." This is a great restaurant that's usually busy. There's usually people there that are going to go to a show later. It's bustling usually. She said, "I had one table today. We got to close early." And she goes, "I keep telling the boss we got to get on DoorDash. We got to get on DoorDash." And the boss actually comes during that, and he goes, "I can't go on DoorDash because they take 26%, and then I'd make zero money on the food." And so they start to kind of argue in front of me because they're obviously stressed out. And I'm telling you, this restaurant has superb service. There's no way they would have an argument in front of a customer during normal circumstances. This is happening all over the country, guys. And this is such unbelievable nonsense. This business is being brought to its knees. A great restaurant is being brought to its knees by panic-stricken politicians. My governor in the live free or die state, a Republican governor in a state that's motto is live free or die. Tons of libertarians here just did a statewide mask mandate. Now, nothing's going to change for me because I don't submit to tyrants. Plus, my city has already had a citywide mandate for masks and stuff like that. And so nothing's going to change for me. But the thing is, guys, we're ruining people's lives for a illness that, listen, we know how to handle this stuff. When you're sick, you stay home. When you're not sick, you don't stay home. We know we've got a word from the Lord, but even common sense tells you every flu season we did this. We know how to figure this stuff out, guys. And it's just like these guys are just stressed out to the nth degree. There's probably 50 employees of this restaurant that their lives are going to be ruined going into the holiday season, and all for what? All for what? Because the media wants you to be full of fear so that the socialist paradise that they seek and desire can be ushered in by sleepy Joe Biden and his cohort, Carnella Harris. Is it Carnella? Yeah, it's Camille Harris. It's Camille Harris, yeah. Camille Harris and her cohort. They want us to be commies, and so they have to bring us to our knees first so that we're begging for that check. And they want you suckling at the teat of their government apparatus. That's what they want. They're trying to bring as many people as possible to their knees, and we're just rolling over and letting them do it. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I walk into this ghost town of a downtown that used to be bustling, and now there's businesses closed, there's restaurants are closed, and all of this stuff. And it's just unreal to see that people are just willing to just let this happen. Unbelievable. I don't really know what's to be done about it, but the reality is, make sure that you and your house are prepared. Make sure that you and your house can survive this kind of thing. And brothers, if you're pastors, prepare your church for this. They're trying to bring us to our knees so that we need them. Don't consent.